Have you ever really thought about the medicines we all rely on? Well, it turns out there's this fascinating puzzle right at the heart of the pharmaceutical world. It's a strategy that brings up some really big questions about innovation, access, and, well, how long a company can control a life-saving drug. Today, we're going to dive into this strategy. It's called patent evergreen.
And this is the central mystery we are going to solve today. The rulebook says a patent gives a company 20 years of exclusive rights. Simple enough, right? But then why does it so often feel like the clock just keeps getting reset on some of the world's most important drugs? How is that even possible? Let's find out.
Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we first need to understand the absolute basics. We've got to look inside the medicine itself and see what it's made of. And trust me, it's actually simpler than you might think.
So pretty much every medicine is made of two fundamental parts. First up, you have the active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API for short. Now, that's the star of the show. It's the chemical that actually does the work in your body. But then you have all these inactive ingredients. Think of them as the supporting cast. They don't fight the illness themselves, but they are absolutely crucial for turning that raw API into a stable, effective pill or liquid that we can actually use.
The whole process is pretty straightforward when you break it down. You start with that core compound, the API. Then you mix it with those formulation helpers, what they call excipients. And finally, you shape it into its final recognizable form. A tablet, a cream, you name it. Now, this whole process of combining and formulating, that's a key piece of our puzzle. Remember that. It's going to be important later.
All right. Now that we have those building blocks in mind, we can directly tackle our initial question. Let's pull back the curtain on this strategy known as patent evergreening. Our source material gives us a pretty formal definition here. The goal is to extend the period of patent protection and the effective period of market exclusivity, or, to put it simply, to keep control for longer. The source also points out that these strategies are sometimes considered unjustifiable and therefore abusive. And wow, that's powerful language that really gets to the heart of the controversy.
So how does it actually work in practice? Well, the core strategy is to file a whole bunch of patents, one after the other, on really minor variations of the exact same drug. A company might tweak the inactive ingredients, maybe change how the drug is delivered, or alter the chemical formulation just a tiny bit. And with each small change, they can apply for a brand new patent, which starts a new 20-year clock. This creates what people call a thicket of patents, this dense web that makes it incredibly difficult for any competitors to enter the market.
Now, theory is one thing, but seeing this strategy in the real world makes it all crystal clear. So let's take a look at an actual example involving Tenofovir, which is a really important drug used in HIV treatment and prevention.
Check this out. Back in 2006, the key formulation of the drug Tenofovir was TDF. But notice what happens a decade later. In 2016, a new, slightly different formulation gets approved. Now, it's still based on the same core drug, but this new version is eligible for its own set of patents. This is a classic evergreening move, It's designed to extend the company's monopoly long after the patents on the original version of Tenofovir were supposed to expire.
Okay, so a company extends its monopoly. Why should we care? What's the big deal? Well, this next part connects all the dots, showing the real-world consequences this strategy can have on healthcare systems and, most importantly, on patients. You see, the effects of this strategy just ripple outwards. When you extend market exclusivity, prices stay high for longer, because cheaper, generic competition is kept out of the market. And why is that? It's because that whole web of patents creates this massive legal uncertainty for generic drug makers. They're constantly facing the risk of accidentally infringing on one of dozens of these minor patents. That risk is often just too high to take, and that ultimately hinders access for the people and the health programs who need these medicines the most. And this is the answer to our original question. That is how a 20-year patent can feel like it lasts much, much longer. It's not one patent that's being extended. No, it's a chain of new patents on tiny little variations, each one adding another link of exclusivity, pushing the arrival of affordable generic versions further and further into the future. And that leaves us with a really critical question, doesn't it? Patents are designed to reward the massive risk and investment that goes into creating a new drug. But where do we draw the line? When does that reward end, and when does the public's need for affordable access begin? Finding that balance is honestly one of the biggest challenges in global health today, and it's definitely something worth thinking about. Thanks for joining me.